Welcome, everybody, to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Carolyn is amazing. She's a doctor, she's a naturopath, she's an herbalist, she's an acupuncturist. She's going to tell you exactly what she would do if she were in your shoes. I can't think of a person who has devoted more time to helping people's health than Dr. Carolyn Dean. She can make a huge difference as you listen to her words of wisdom. We know she's ahead of time because she is the doctor of the future. Welcome, Dr. Carolyn Dean. Yay! Uh-oh! Yay!
Hey!
Hello. Here we are.
We're on air.
We are on air. Welcome, everybody, to Dr. Carolyn Dean Live, Dr. Dean's weekly podcast that she produces for all of her wonderful fans, customers all around the world. Actually, our very dear number one top fan, Alma, all the way from Kuwait, usually joins us every week. But we have people tuning in from Australia, the UK, China, everywhere, because they want to hear the words of Dr. Carolyn Dean, who is the world's leading expert on magnesium and mineral supplementation and one of the strategic founders of the Health Freedom Movement. She's been around for a long time, 55 years, with an active medical license still in the state of California and a naturopathic degree. She sits on a adjunct faculty of a naturopathic college, and she's got credentials that you can't even believe. But the thing she wants to do tonight, more than anything, is to convince you that stabilized ions of minerals are the optimal way to deliver them to your body and get the results you want for health, vitality, and longevity. And in tonight's case, it's neuroplasticity, right, Carolyn?
I know. We'll have to define that word.
Yeah, absolutely. So welcome, Facebook. We are on X, we're on YouTube, and we're happy you're here with us this evening. And so, Carolyn, what would you like to start with tonight?
I notice I don't have a mini rant. I'll probably start ranting as we move along, but let's go right to our blog. As you said, it's about sustaining vitality, how neuroplasticity helps you build healthy habits that stick. Now, I mean, we don't want plastics, but plasticity is a word that describes, in the neurological sense, neuroplasticity, that your brain is able to change and cope and deal with whatever stresses there are. And the blog, as you'll find it at drcarolyndean.com, Sustainable Vitality, how neuroplasticity helps you build healthy habits that stick. Spring is coming. We wake up and want to feel alive and healthy, but we know that we have to develop goals and good habits. And good habits depend on this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape neural pathways. Now, what I wrote about in the Magnesium Miracle years ago was a study on neuroplasticity that is defined by, propelled by, activated by magnesium, of course. So right away, when we see neuroplasticity being a buzzword on the internet, people are searching it and wonder, how can I help my neuroplasticity? Well, we just tell people to take Remag like everything else. So the message of this blog is that you cannot build lasting habits in a mineral depleted body. Basically, you can imagine, what I'm going to say. Magnesium is a prime driver of neuroplasticity. It plays a critical role in brain chemistry, including serotonin activity, nervous system regulation, and energy production. When magnesium levels are low, the brain may experience reduced motivation, brain fog, low mood, fatigue, apathy. And with these states, the brain is locked into basic function and is not ready for change. So if your brain resists adding new habits, you can blame it on magnesium deficiency. And I've said this many times, but it's worth repeating. It's like repeating things to make them a habit. Magnesium is involved in more than 800 enzyme reactions in the body, supporting energy production, nerve transmission, muscle relaxation, blood sugar balance. And when you're deficient, you get the symptoms that I mentioned above: anxiety as well, poor sleep, muscle tension, fatigue, and mental sluggishness. Now, people might say, well, that's poor discipline. But what if it's poor magnesium saturation that's causing you to not have enough energy to change a habit? So it's not a character flaw, it's a biochemical issue. Because people don't know they're magnesium deficient, they look for stimulants, coffee, adaptogenic herbs or supplements that claim to be energy boosters. So what do I tell people? There's a whole list of things in this article at drcarolyndean.com that you can read yourself. But it basically develop a habit of hydrating with sea salted water, quarter teaspoon per liter. Add your Remag and Remite minerals and sip the water through the day. Add vitamin C berry powder for taste. So, like I said, the blog goes into a lot of other simple advice on building good daily habits. But just start with your minerals. Get your energy. And then, I mean, when people are energized, they feel like doing things. And if you don't have energy, you don't feel like doing things. It's really quite simple. What do you think, Jenny? Have I simplified it too much?
Well, I don't know if you've, that's the thing. And we were talking about this the other day. Magnesium is so profoundly simple that it offends people, right? Because they want it to be more complicated. And we've seen that with people who have longstanding magnesium deficiencies that express themselves in the body in a variety of different ways. And when we've suggested through your books or writings or forums or whatever situation we've been in, that magnesium in its proper form, stabilized magnesium ions, and also allowing that saturation to build can absolutely quash these kind of problems, they get very offended. Maybe they've been through expensive treatments, or maybe they've been told that there's no hope, or maybe, and it does something to them. So neuroplasticity, 150% is absolutely key, tied to magnesium. And if you want to challenge that for yourself, just use our product for 90 days and see what it does for your brain. It's amazing, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's probably the thing that we want to convey. And of course, for people who are regular users of the products, the one thing that they're not usually complaining about is brain fog, neuroplasticity, dementia, or any of those other kind of conditions, right? Because they're saturated with magnesium and their brain has what they need. Now, an occasional, I can't remember what I did with my car keys, is not the same. I just want to go on record with that.
Right. And it's interesting you say try for 90 days. I mean, this woman tried it once. Let me start on the questions and comments with the first testimonial. I don't think I mentioned this, but if I did, it's worth repeating. A woman came up to me at the farmer's market 2 weeks ago. She introduced herself and she said her chiropractor, a friend of mine, told her to get a bottle of Remag for her 20 years of insomnia. Now, she told him, well, I've tried everything. I've tried magnesium. I've tried everything. But she said, I'll check it out. I have to keep trying. And then to me, with tears in her eyes, she said it was the first good night's sleep she'd had in 20 years. And she continued to sleep well. I saw her 3 weeks after she first started taking Remag. So one night, and in a healthy woman, I mean, this is what we find all the time is the people that come to us, they've tried many things. They're usually on a good diet. They're not drinking all the coffee, eating all the sugar, doing all the things that make people ill, but they're just missing their minerals, especially magnesium. So we find that when they take the Remag, they just bounce right back because everything else is kind of stable. They don't have to detoxify, etc. They take the Remag and they feel so much better. Now, that's not going to happen for everybody because we will get people coming to us who are on a bad diet and do need to do those other grounding things, get their exercise and be out in the sun and try to get their sleep. But this is what people can experience with taking just one amazing mineral. Now, actually, I'm surprised I don't have other testimonials here. Do you have anything that landed on your desk, Ginny?
Well, we have so many testimonials these days. And of course, because of FDA regulations, there's some we just can't say on the air because people are bragging about how it's helping with a specific health condition. And that's everything from Flora Revive, our probiotic, soil-based probiotic, helping with a variety of gut issues. We've had some stuff come through about Remag Balm. And of course, we're not able to advertise the benefits of that as far as transdermal use. We mostly refer to it as a hydrator. And then, of course, we have on and on and on. So I don't have anything that I want to read out on the air right now, but I'm really appreciative of all the people who share their testimonials because it lets us know we're on the right track for sure.
It's awesome. So let me go into the pros and cons of supplements, drugs, and research. So I've got a couple of bees in my bonnet today. Once again, Ocean Robbins, our vegan influencer, he's the grandson of the Robbins ice cream. So they're trying to undo what their granddad did, Ocean and his father. So he's got something called the Food Revolution Network. And another example of him not keeping up with the science. Last week, I highlighted a lecture workshop on bone health where they didn't emphasize magnesium. And this week, he's offering an interview with a cardiologist about cholesterol and also leaving out important information. So he says, cholesterol is essential for life, but elevated levels are strongly linked to heart attacks and strokes. That's not true. He continues, if yours is high, if your cholesterol is high, knowing what to do about it isn't always straightforward. So there we have it. He's saying, oh, you poor little person, you can't take care of this problem yourself. You need an expert like me and this cardiologist to tell you their truth. So he introduces the cardiologist who spent more than 30 years helping patients address high cholesterol in his preventive cardiology practice. And it's the same old vegan, vegetarian propaganda that animal fat is dangerous. And so I'm not going to go into it all, but I just want to remind you the likely true cause of physical heart disease is magnesium deficiency and vitamin C deficiency. And I say physical cause because people can die from a broken heart. And that may be about magnesium as well, because you can get severe magnesium deficiency caused by grief and stress. But the physical cause seems to be vitamin C deficiency, weakening the arteries because it doesn't produce strong enough collagen. Vitamin C makes collagen that makes our artery walls. And if the collagen is weakened, then you get tears. These tears then are identified by the body as a problem, and cholesterol comes in and acts as a Band-Aid on the tear. And then if you have a magnesium deficiency, it means you have a relative high amount of calcium because they balance each other. So if your magnesium is low, then your calcium is relatively high, and it precipitates onto the cholesterol, leading to atherosclerosis. And Dr. Linus Pauling and Dr. Matthias Rath worked on this problem. Everybody thinks Linus Pauling was working with vitamin C for heart disease and flus and colds and all the rest of it, but he was working on heart disease. And Ginny and I are developing a formula, high dose vitamin C with lysine and proline, to help people avoid this problem, because it's actually happening because humans don't make their own vitamin C. All the millions of species of animals and in the animal kingdom make their own vitamin C, except humans, apes, and bats. Rats and mice make their own vitamin C, for Pete's sake. So because we don't, we suffer heart disease and atherosclerosis, and we can turn that around. So that's one critique. And the other is, it's just another critique on this magnesium L-threonine supplements out of China, as far as I understand it. Or the original was out of China, or the paperwork and the research was out of China. And they're low potency and very expensive. One brand sells a bottle of 90 caps for $72. And on the front of the label, it advertises magnesium L-threonate, 2,000 milligrams. So you think, hey, I'm getting 2,000 milligrams of magnesium. That's cool. But then on the back of the label, it says one dose of 145 milligrams, you have to take 3 capsules. So when I needed 1,200 milligrams of my Remag to fully saturate my body, if I was taking a magnesium L-threonate, I'd have to take 9 or 10 capsules to get that amount. Or would I? No, if 3 capsules are 145, then I would have had to take 30 to get 1,400. So yeah, I would have to take like 28 capsules to get 1,200 milligrams. And because magnesium L-threonate causes the laxative effect, I would have died in the bathroom. I would have spent all day on the toilet. 28 capsules. Whoa. Okay, so that's my critique. And look at us, Ginny. We're bombing right along. I don't have any helpful hacks. I'll take your questions from the chat, and then we'll do our articles.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we've got a lot of questions here, so let me start at the top. And one of the things, I have to go all the way back here, everybody, so hold on with me while I do this. What can magnesium do for stuttering, Carolyn?
Well, if the stuttering is caused by sort of muscle tension, sometimes when your muscles are tight around your speaking tube, what do you call that?
Voice box.
Then, I suppose it could cause stuttering. I've never really thought about it, but stuttering, if it's to do with muscles or nerves, then magnesium should help. But even if it's to do with sort of a psychological fear and tension, and I would think in German New Medicine, it would be you stutter because when you've tried to speak before, you've been punished. So you're afraid when you make a declarative statement, you'll be punished. So you stutter it out. So there's layers to it. But since everybody is kind of magnesium deficient, I would just go ahead and try magnesium. I'd even put our Remag lotion on the neck around the voice box.
Okay, very good. Here's a question from a caring friend. My friend's been getting red bumps on the joints of her left hand. Some are painful. They're not going away. I suggested she rub Remag Balm on the pumps, but of course we can't recommend Remag Balm for transdermal use. She would have to take it orally, right, Carolyn?
You can do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. But if the red bumps, are they Heberden's nodes? Are they hard? Heberden's nodes are build up of kind of calcification, inflammation on joints. It's a type of arthritis, and small joint arthritis can be a food allergy, the deadly nightshades, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, paprika, tobacco, eggplant, tomato. What have I left out? I think there's 5. Peppers. Yeah, peppers. So anything to do with inflammation, pain, swelling, muscles or nerves, that's all magnesium. What magnesium is doing is opening up cell mineral ion channels to allow calcium to go in for a split second to create a movement, and then it reopens the channel and calcium comes back out. If you don't have magnesium doing that function, apparently calcium will build up in cells and it'll excite the cell to death, but the calcium that's not solubilized by magnesium will build up on joints and breast tissue calcification, Hillsborough's, kidney stones, all that, atherosclerosis. That is calcium floating around willy-nilly in the body without magnesium to keep it in check.
Okay, very good. That's a great answer. Thank you for that. Now, Jennifer's asking you to diagnose a medical condition, and we know you can't do that, but I would like you to talk about this one thing. She says her daughter's married. She has 3 small children. She's 42. Her last child she had 4 years ago, and she's had some kind of shaking and cramping on her side. And I know you can't diagnose that in a podcast, but what can you say about women's need for magnesium before, during, and after pregnancy?
Well, what I would say is when you think of what happens with eclampsia and preeclampsia at the end of a pregnancy, a woman can have edema, swollen ankles, swollen fingers, edema, high blood pressure, and even seizures, and cramping and tension and just all-round irritability. And what they do for eclampsia, when it's really bad, the blood pressure's high, you're having seizures, they give the woman intravenous magnesium. And it fixes the problem because it's a magnesium deficiency. So the common sense adaptation of that information is women need magnesium throughout pregnancy for all kinds of reasons. I talked about nerves and muscles. They work properly when you have enough magnesium and balance your calcium. And what happens in a lot of pregnancies is doctors will tell their patients to take a lot of calcium to help build the baby's bones, and they won't tell them to take equal amounts of magnesium. And I say equal because I tell people to take 600 milligrams of both. Now, in pregnancy, you might need 900 milligrams. You can get a lot in your diet. You would look at our chronometer, CRONOMETER, for members, and you can type in your daily diet and find out, oh, I'm actually getting 400 milligrams of calcium in my diet. So maybe I just need another couple hundred milligrams. And we do have picometer size stabilized ion of calcium called Recalcia. So it just makes sense for all pregnant women to take magnesium during the pregnancy, as well as their other prenatals. And then after pregnancy, after delivery, what happens? You're losing a lot of minerals and you're needing a lot of B vitamins. So I've found in my women, my mothers who delivered, they were low in zinc, they were low in B vitamins, and they were low in magnesium. So zinc is very important. And then there was a homeopathic that I used It's for perfectionism. Shoot.
Mm-hmm.
It's not on top of my head. Maybe someone in the chat knows the perfectionist homeopathic. It might come to me. It's in my Future Health Now encyclopedia. And yeah, the thyroid tends to get burnt out during pregnancy as well, because a lot of your thyroid hormones go to support the baby. So that means you want to work on the 9 minerals that support thyroid hormone production. And I just happen to have those 9 minerals in my 12 mineral remite, all picometers, stabilized mineral ions, perfectly absorbed, because you need iodine, selenium, copper, magnesium, manganese, molybdenum, boron, chromium, and something else. So all those things. But when you've got spasms or whatever on the side, see what happens with pregnancy, with the baby in your in your tummy, it's kicking against the ribs, and you can actually get ribs that are bruised. And I've had that. I tend to bruise my ribs every once in a while, and magnesium helps. But I even sometimes put a wrap on. What is a brace? A cute little back brace. It's very sweet, but it is a magnesium deficiency in my world.
Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Roseanne joins us tonight. She's on Facebook with us. We love Roseanne. And she said, hi, everyone. One of my favorite formulas is Realign. Every time I order it, my body feels so good. And that is the perfect opening for us to remind everybody that we have a buy one, get one 50% off sale on Realign right now on our website at rnareset.com. That's Dr. Dean's formula website, rnareset.com. And you can go there and get some stock up, Roseanne, on your Realign, because I know you do love it. She's been on that ever since the beginning, 2011, I think. So
Realign, what's in it? What's in it?
Realign has 4 methylated B vitamins and 4 regular Bs, as well as taurine and methionine. And it is a powerful formula to protect the sulfation pathways of the liver. I say give your liver a big hug. And then also as a methylator, it's phenomenal for people who have MTHFR and can't methylate. And it's phenomenal for people who don't have that, but still want the methylation effects of a methylated vitamin B for their RNA and DNA to keep all of their little edges very crisp and tight. So we love, love, love Realign.
Yeah, and it's food-based and methylated Bs, low potency. When you start seeing 25, 50, 100 milligram Bs, it is synthetic, coal tar derived synthetic, and it forces itself into the cells, whereas ours just floats in naturally. And the homeopathic for postpartum depression or apathy or whatever is Ignatia, Ignatia, St. Ignatius root. And I call it the perfectionist remedy, because here's a young woman who in charge of the world, gets pregnant, and then gets 3 hours sleep in 24, and just it's hard to cope.
Yeah.
And that makes them feel like they're losing it because they're just so exhausted. But that sometimes is what happens. So Ignatius is a really good remedy for that. And postpartum depression, that can be very hard on women, and that's zinc, Ignatia, and magnesium, and of course the B's in Realign. You want your omega-3s, your D3K2, your magnesium, as I said. So it's always our basics. We will never move away from telling people to take the basics, and then you don't need all the esoteric, expensive things that are out there.
Very good. Now, also Remag is buy one, get one 50% off, as well as our vitamin C reset powder, which is our flavor mask for Remag. And so you'll want to shop that sale right now. It'll be over later this evening or first thing in the morning, depending on when Brian puts up the countdown timer. But definitely check that out. And if you're new to the show, new to Dr. Dean's wisdom, her wisdom is in those bottles. I'm telling y'all, that is where she resides and she pops out. I'm just kidding. But it is really, truly her wisdom and her grace to be able to develop these formulas, which she created for herself and she shares with the world. So be sure to check those out. And it's a great price and it won't last for much longer. Susanna wanted to tell us, Carolyn, that her dog Greer, and we read her testimony on Pico Pets. She's taking, Greer is taking the formulas. She said she had forgot to mention that she was not hardly hearing, but now she's taking all 4 Pico Pets products and she can hear again.
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Very, very cool. Very cool. The other question, do you ever think you're going to be able to get Remag in a powdered form for people who don't like the taste of the liquid?
What Remag is, it's a hydrator, and we've tried to do all kinds of things with it, and it just absorbs water. So it would be a powder for like 3 minutes, and then it would pull water from the air. So I'm sorry, but people are just going to have to get used to the taste. I know there are super tasters out there, people who have a gene that, some tastes just really send them over the edge, but put it in your coffee or tea. I don't drink coffee, so I've never tried it, but just put it in something that masks the taste so you can take it. Please don't avoid it because you can't find something to mask the taste.
Oh, yeah, absolutely not. It's too beneficial. Now, want to give a love shout out to Presley Alford, who's here tonight. Presley was one of my very first customers ever. Love, Presley. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Susanna, and everybody's comments. And also somebody, David, is asking when the new formula might be available. Carolyn, what do you say to that?
Oh, yeah, I know. When Ginny and I used to run this company, just the two of us, we used to get things done like overnight. What happened, Ginny? Whatever happened?
I think COVID happened and the world has never gotten back to its usual form. I think it's really what's going on. It's being delayed a little bit more, but it's on its way. We'll have it within the second quarter. Wouldn't you say, Carolyn?
Yes, a few months, 3 months. Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, we'll have it within the second quarter, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. Okay, Carolyn, off to the articles we go.
Okay, Rachel, good news for patients worried about statin side effects. Study finds that most never happen. This is criminal. This is a bunch of clowns who are trying to tell people to don't trust your eyes and your body. What you're feeling is not real. It's criminal. So they spend 700 words in this article trying to convince the reader that side effects of statin drugs are a lie. Now, if anyone's listening who's ever been on a statin, I never have, but I've heard enough people telling me that they have side effects, mostly muscle aches and pains, and it makes them feel old, and their doctor says, oh, you're just getting old. The doctors don't even allow your symptoms to be a side effect. So they begin the article by saying, patients worried about potential side effects of statins can rest easy, according to a new large-scale study. The vast majority of adverse effects listed on statin medications simply never occur. So this was published in The Lancet, supposedly a reputable journal. They analyzed individual patient data from 154,000 patients. That many, well, there are millions of people on statins. in 23 large randomized controlled trials, as if that means anything. But then here's what they did. They looked for 66 non-muscle, non-diabetes outcomes. So they look for cognitive problems, depression, sleep issues, kidney injury, sexual dysfunction, liver disease, and many others, 66. So that kills the study right there. The most common symptoms of statin therapy are muscle pain, weakness, muscle tension, muscle spasm. So why bother acknowledging them? I repeat, they did not include muscle symptoms. Then they dissected the other undesirable outcomes. Yeah, that's what they call them, not horrible side effects, undesirable outcomes. And reminds me of Newspeak, the propagandistic language coined by George Orwell in his novel 1984. So they're trying to take you away from side effects. It's crazy. Even then, the undesirable side effects were, according to them, minor, mild, and close to insignificant. They tried to say that using statins for 5 years would typically prevent about 1,000 major vascular events for every 10,000 patients. Okay, so do the math on that. 10,000 people have to take drugs for 5 years to help 0.1% of that population. 0.1% would be helped if they threw the drug into 10,000 people's homes. And this is at a time when we know lifestyle, magnesium, and vitamin C would be more effective with no side effects and a lot of other beneficial effects. They did admit that, well, yeah, liver damage shows up with higher doses, but they said these were just biochemical laboratory abnormalities rather than clinically significant liver disease. They said there were no cognitive impairments or memory loss, but we've all heard the anecdotal reports of dementia when the basic cholesterol in the brain is no longer supporting your brain neurons. They discounted other side effects like dementia and Alzheimer's, depression, anxiety, sleep disturbance, peripheral neuropathy, acute kidney injury, sexual dysfunction. And they said they found no increase in acute kidney injury, hematuria, blood in the urine, painful urination, or a decline in renal function. So they looked at kidneys. And they end up saying, for clinicians and patients who worry about rare or poorly defined side effects, this study provides powerful reassurance. This kind of evidence should make clinicians more confident in recommending statins and help patients feel more comfortable taking them. So what it means is clinicians are now going to browbeat their patients even more. Look, this study, 154,000 people, said there are no side effects. You've got muscle side effects. Well, they didn't look at that, but never mind. There are no side effects. So that's what we're dealing with in the clown space of medical research. Back to you, Ginny.
The clown space of medical research. The clown space of medical research. That is a heavy weighted statement. Yes, because it is a clown space. And there's a lot of people that find fault with it. So yeah, it's not optimal. Okay, very good.
Any questions?
Let's see. Newman and McClellan is here with us tonight, which is wonderful. He's endorsing Vitamin C Reset products. No, I think we're good. You can continue.
Okay, next. We have the antibiotic before there were antibiotics. Now, this is a Substack from, I think it might be the Midwestern Doctor, but it says it's from the Curious Substack. And basically, I just want to sort of put that up there as the title. It talks about the truth behind silver's erasure from medicine and a practical guide to using it safely at home. And unfortunately, what this person does is talk about making your own colloidal silver, and I don't agree with that. I don't think you can be sure of what parts per million you're making, how much you're taking. I'm not going to say you'll have side effects from it. I don't know, but what what I've done with Pico Silver, I wrote a book called Pico Silver Clearing Up the Controversy. And you can get that on Amazon at 99 cents. You're allowed to you're allowed to put books up for free if you're not offering them anywhere else. But since we offer them on our membership site, a lot of these ebooks, I have to charge 99 cents. But that talks about silver in a picometer size as a stabilized ion. It's not a colloid. A colloid silver is a silver compound. And just like any other mineral compound, the size of a mineral compound means that it's difficult to, well, it won't be absorbed inside in the cell. And mineral compounds have to depend on the compound disassociating in the blood, and then at that instant that silver is an ion, it will be absorbed into the cells. Well, our picometer silver, pico silver, is a stabilized ion. It's going to be an ion forever and ever. And just to emphasize that silver has been used as an antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal. It's in our antifungal program along with Flora Revive. It's been used for centuries. Silver dollars were put in big jugs of milk to keep them fresh. Even today, silver impregnated gauze is put on burn victims as the safest antibiotic to use to prevent the infection of a weeping open wound of a burn. So silver is incredible. And as I said, I just want to put that up. You can search that title on Substack and read the article, but I would not make my own colloidal silver. It's a compound, it's not picometer silver. And the next article, my little friend Nick Norwich, MD, PhD. So he's talking about Alzheimer's and NAD. NAD is hot now. It's the supplement, new supplement on the block. It's been around forever, but they come and go as somebody markets it or some company makes it and promotes it heavily. It's nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. And nicotinamide, it's a derivative of niacin. Niacin is vitamin B3. So what am I going to say? Well, take your food-based B3 and make your own nicotinamide. That's what I'm going to say. We don't know where they make the NAD for supplements. You can look these things up, and it's usually a chemical process in a lab. But food sources, for example, they're few and far between, and that's why I recommend our Realign. So Nick starts saying 99% of Alzheimer's drugs have failed. He started talking about NAD, this nicotinamide. He called it the brain's metabolic linchpin. And it's found in all cells. It's essential for making ATP as an electron carrier. And of course, magnesium is essential for making ATP as well. As they say with every nutrient, NAD declines with age. They say it all the time. Oh, you're getting older, it's declining. And I say that's because we aren't taking enough of the basic nutrients. We can get by in our youth just running on adrenaline, but there's a certain point in time where you need to take your basic nutrients, which are what our formulas are. And about Alzheimer's, Nick says, amyloid protein plaque builds up, and they say that's the cause of Alzheimer's. But then 20 to 50% of people with this plaque don't have Alzheimer's. So that's where he says NAD comes in. The researchers identify this because they say the higher the NAD in a person, the less plaque a person has. And seriously, they could say that, do a study on magnesium, on vitamin C, on the all the other B vitamins, on omega-3, on vitamin D. They could say that all those nutrients support brain function. And but they still don't know if preserving NAD in the brain or giving supplements prevents or reverses Alzheimer's. So it's still in the speculative stages, but you get these headlines that make people, oh my gosh, I better get some NAD in me. So researchers say that boosting NAD reverses Alzheimer's in mice models by 40%, not 100%, 40%. And then Nick brings up the NAMPT enzyme, and that enzyme boosts NAD. And they say, oh, well, that restores memory and learning. So NAMPT comes along, boosts NAD. Treatment with NAMPT prevents Alzheimer's symptoms, including anxiety, reduces amyloid, and stabilizes the blood-brain barrier and lowers inflammation in mice. And he says there are pathways to make NAD from dietary nutrients: tryptophan, B3 niacin, beef liver, turkey, and fish. And he says the NAMPT enzyme that boosts NAD is increased with fasting, the keto diet, and exercise. But what Nick doesn't say is that magnesium is essential for the activity of NAMPT, acting as a critical cofactor in the rate-limiting step of the NAD pathway. So sufficient magnesium levels are necessary for the body to fully utilize NAD, and which is produced via the NAMPT pathway. Without sufficient magnesium, the efficiency of the NAMPT enzyme is reduced, which can limit the production of NAD. So, ergo, magnesium wins again. But you have to take the right kind of magnesium, which is Remag, to get enough without getting the laxative effect. Other magnesium compounds, you at 300-400 milligrams, you're getting the laxative effect, and you can't take the 600 or 900 milligrams that you need to saturate your whole body and help your NAD. So there you go, Ginny. I just tore apart another nutrient that's being heavily promoted. Tore it apart. I can't hear you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Can anybody hear me? Can people hear Ginny? Can we hear each other?
I can hear you, but Jenny can't be heard.
For
some reason. Jenny, come out, come back, maybe.
So I'll go on to the next study with you, Rachel, okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. So this one is called How Nighttime Light Quietly Became a Serious Health Threat. So seriously, how frustrating is it for me to read reports like this and realize that I've been advocating for blackout curtains in the bedroom for several decades now. In my early 2000 online wellness series, I talked about most of the things that are being discussed today, you know, by biohackers and everything. So they just, it's clickbait. It's scary clickbait where they just go into a serious health threat. They really go into the horrors of keeping your lights on at night or doing too much computer just before bed. This article went on for 1,500 words just to remind people to sleep in a dark room, pretty much. So that's all I really need to say about that article is try to sleep in the dark. And it was one of the Future Health Now modules that I created. I did 102 modules that I rotate to members. And I did that in the early 2000s. And by 2008, when the last economic crash happened, people started writing to me saying, I just don't even have time to read your stuff anymore. Just tell me what vitamins and minerals to take. And that's when actually I got more into looking at the nutrients that people needed because there was just so much stress out there. And the next article, again from our friend Nick Norwich, MD, PhD. So this is about retatrutide. I'm not pronouncing it properly, I'm sure. Retatrutide, Reta, they're calling it. It's the oral Ozempic. And as you can imagine, it's being hailed as a $1 trillion weight loss breakthrough that spares muscle. And Nick is saying, I mean, it's all clickbait. Is this really the holy grail of body composition? So it represents a third generation of GLP-1 based weight loss drugs. The first generation was GLP targeted. The next wave, it hit 2 different hormones. And now this Reta goes a step further targeting GLP, GIP, and glucagon. So there are 2 big claims, he says, that's grabbing everyone's attention. Claim 1, you can lose 1/3 of your body weight in 6 months. So that seems to mean if you're 300 pounds, you can lose 100 pounds in 6 months, which is shocking. And according to everything I've ever been taught or read over the years, that's harmful to lose that much that fast. And the number 2 claim is muscle sparing. So what Nick says that I think I have notes on it below that it really doesn't live up to that claim. So it's an oral weight loss drug everybody's been waiting for because Ozempic injectable is very expensive and it's an injectable. But the cost of this Reta is going to be $800 to $2,400 a month. It's a triple hormone receptor agonist that targets 3 hormones involved in appetite regulation and metabolism. So if you don't think the GLP-1 drug did enough harm, what will 3 drugs combined do? It's got the GIP is a gastric inhibitory peptide and glucagon, as well as the glucagon-like peptide, GLP. So the mechanism is believed to enhance its effectiveness compared to existing treatments that typically target 1 or 2 hormones. Seriously, this drug is the very definition of messing with Mother Nature. What does Reta do specifically? They cherry-picked what they wanted to do, but all you have to do is look up these 3 hormones, see the lists and lists of all the things that this hormone could do, and hope that it doesn't do it to you. You know, they want it to control your appetite, but I mean, I have like 20, 30 different things that these 3 hormones are doing. So in our crazy world of allowing sugar to be focused on as beneficial and fat being avoided, you've heard my whole rendition about that they, when they found out about 50, 60 years ago that sugar was causing heart disease, the sugar lobby groups and industry, they destroyed that research and blamed cholesterol for heart disease. We're still coming out of that dark hole. And then instead of using animal fat, they told us to use omega-6 seed oils. And that's caused the part of the whole ultra-processed food revolution that has affected people. Sugar, omega-6 fatty acids, and everything cooked and preserved with all kinds of preservatives and dyes and coloring. So we're in an ultra-processed world. The reason why any diet works, maybe short-term, maybe long-term, is because they tell you to avoid sugar and bread and oftentimes dairy. And most people get better because they avoid those things. So anyway, that is the new drug we have to look forward to as we watch all our Hollywood so-called stars turn up as skeletons on the golden carpet. So let's see if Ginny has made it back into the fold and if there are any questions.
I am back. Here I am. I was here, but I lost my screen somehow. But anyway, Carolyn, I do want to say this. Andrew Huberman is a big promoter of this Retta, and it's a shredder. They are using it for men in gymnasiums to get them into that shredded look. And the reason why the men are interested in it is because they can get lean and shredded, and it preserves muscle loss. But, I guess Nick was kind of saying, no, there's no truth to that. How could it really? I mean, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I was surprised to see he was talking about how this was going to be the number one go-to in the fitness world. And it's not going to be considered a competition problem, like a blood doping substance.
Oh,
right? So it's going to be actually considered, quote unquote, healthy because it's a peptide.
Whoa, because GLP-1s, they kill your vagus nerve for one thing. And actually the next article, let's go to that, Rachel, and get that here. Chronic cough in patients taking GLP-1s. What primary care clinicians should know. So they're encountering a broader range of real world symptoms. One is chronic cough, even in the absence of GERD. Because GERD can, you can get back up from your stomach and it can cause a cough. And of course, what do I think when I say this? Oh yeah, chronic cough is a well-known manifestation of vagus nerve induced cough. So these doctors, they're going on, well, it's not traditionally been listed as a common adverse effect. So they try to minimize it and dampen it. Well, we haven't seen it in marketing surveillance. Oh, well, if someone comes with it, what to do. And there's never a recommendation to discontinue the drug. But the vagus nerve, it significantly influences the cough reflex, which is a protective mechanism that expels irritants from the respiratory system. When irritants or foreign particles enter the airways, the vagus nerve detects these stimuli and triggers a cough reflex. So I'm saying it's the GLP-1 is a foreign stimulant to the body. So the vagus nerve is trying to cough it out. But really, the vagus nerve, I think, is just in a weakened state. So it's like irritable. It's like your adrenals, when they get weakened and they fire sort of in a way of when you get a noise or whatever, they'll fire erratically. And So the vagus nerve is going to be firing erratically and causing this cough.
Mm.
So it's irritating the vagus nerve in some people, causing cough reflex. And yes, I remember a patient decades ago. His daughter brought him in. He had a chronic cough. I, of course, looked up his blood pressure medication. It was an ACE inhibitor.
Mm.
It's notorious for causing a chronic cough. So back then, I sent him back to his cardiologist and I said, get him off this drug. So that's what we did when we had a side effect from a drug. Get off the drug. They are not, there's not a peep about taking people off this drug. It makes too much money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So
Right.
what else have we got? I've done all my articles for the first time in recorded history in 2026.
Very good. Excellent. Well, it's time to wrap up the show. We want to thank everybody for being here again. I know you're as fascinated with Dr. Dean as I am. We love her. She's been the source of so much inspiration and education for so many. drcarolyndean.com is her website. It is her place where she muses and writes and shares her publications and her podcasts, her information, her interviews with people outside of our immediate influence. So please, please check that out. It's fantastic. RNAreset.com is her wisdom in a bottle. That is where you'll find all of her proprietary formulas. There are not a lot of them because they are super concentrated and very well made. And you don't need 1,000. You just need a handful building blocks for the constituents of cellular health, and you are going to be thriving. PicoPets.com is where we have our pet products. And of course, every single healthy human wants their pet to have as much longevity and well-being as they do. And these are specifically put together for the pets, and they can use them with great success. If you go on the website, you'll see tons of testimonials. I even have a testimonial I'll share next week, no time this week, and just so many wonderful things. And of course, buy one, get one 50% off on select products at RNA Reset. Be sure to go there, check it out, and stock up on all the things that you love and know you're going to need for the rest of your life. You're going to need them for the rest of your life, and you're going to live a long, healthy life. If you hang out with Dr. Dean, I can guarantee you that. No jumping off the planet for you anytime soon.
Rachel, go back to SUPCO again. I did a podcast this morning with Happy Sperling, and she didn't know about the trust SUPCO, and she said that is amazing. That's going to be so helpful to me for my patients to go to supp.co, register, type in the name of the supplements you are on, and see, do they have a 9+ score? You want to be 9 and higher, 9 out of 10, which is what all our formulas are.
Yeah.
So that is the way to really sock it to them.
Yeah. And dial in and make sure you're not wasting your money.
Yeah.
If people knew how much money they were wasting on pills and powdered magnesium and minerals, they would, they'd just be so upset. It's a waste, a massive waste. Stabilized ions of minerals in liquid form. That's what you want. That's what you need. And that's where you're going to get your greatest value. Bada boom, bada bing. Okay, everybody, we're out of here, but we'll be back next week. And we're going to be hanging out again and talking about all the things.
Aloha.
You have been listening to Dr. Carolyn Dean, the doctor of the future. Become a member of drcarolyndean.com and get access to all her leading edge of creation information, as well as archives, webinars, and other valuable media resources. Join Dr. Dean and Ginny Almighty same time again next week.